We got this 1972 AMF garden tractor got pulled out here. We're going to see about getting this up in the shop and see about getting her running. Now the story behind this fella is here, the gentleman I bought this from, this has been sitting in a barn out in the field. Well, he told me since the mid-90s, and I've had it about 5 years, so it's been a while since this fella's been running. So you figure this tractor's been sitting pretty close to about 30 years. Some of the features you're going to notice on this tractor here is you're going to notice here this very high quality latex house paint job on it. And also as well, we got this black electrical tape racing stripe. And this is my favorite part right here. We got this special PVC gas cap that they've engineered to put on there. Ain't that special? So let's go up to the shop and see if we can get this thing going. Well, we got the old AMF pushed up here in the shop now. We're going to go through and see about getting this fella running here. Got it in here. I went ahead and I pulled the mower deck off of it. You can see the mower deck sitting over there. It's in pretty rough shape. Someone did some patchwork on it right there, and yeah, she's pretty sad shape. We're not even going to use this mower deck. I got a snowblower that actually came with this tractor, so this is something I'm going to keep. I actually had one of these AMF tractor here when I was a kid, probably about when I was 12, 13. I used to mow grass with. I'm going to keep this one just for sentimental reasons, you know. So let's go here and we'll get started here. We got the old 8-horse Briggs & Stratton here. Now, I can't turn this thing with my hand right now, but we'll go get the old long arm on there and see if we can get her to turn over at all. We'll get the old long arm put on here, just see if we can get this guy to crack over here just a little bit. Well, that made the nut come loose on it. Come over this way. Oh, that nut's loose on there. That's very interesting on that. Yeah, I don't know. Oh boy. Yeah, I got a feeling this this motor I'm gonna say this motor might be set up on it. Yeah, I'm not having any luck trying to move this thing. Yep. I guess the next step what we're gonna have to do here is so we got more access to work on this. Go ahead and get this hood and stuff off here and start cracking this open and see where the trouble is with it and see what it tells us. We're back. I went and I removed that hood off camera just to save a little bit of time, but I also made another discovery on this. Was able to get to the code number on this engine, and near as I can tell, I'm almost 99% positive this is the original engine. This because it is a brown color, and every one of these AMF tractors I've seen, the motor's been brown on them. But the guy I bought this from said it was a 72, but when you look at the code right here, it says 73. So this is actually a 73 tractor, no 72. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this blower shroud off here and make sure there's no squirrel gerbils down in there and proceed with this. I'm hoping that I don't gotta take and pull this engine out and flip it over and soak this thing down with some Marvel's Mystery Oil, get this thing all freed up, and I'm hoping I can get this thing to roll over with it in the tractor just to save a little bit of work. Really getting a closer look at this here tractor, you know, it's in really good shape for the year on it. I mean, the frame's all clean on it, still got the paint on it back there. It's not all flaking and lifting off like it does sometimes. You know, these old AMF tractors, they were kind of ahead of their time in a way. Also, the same company that made these AMF tractors here, they made the Dynamark. They made the Dynastar. We got one of those out back. We're going to get up and get running those Dynastars are really rare. They only made those things a couple of years that I can recall. If anybody knows any information on those Dynastars, for sure when the years of production was, please leave a comment down below. But one thing cool about those Dynastars back then, and even some of the Dynamarks they had, they took and they painted some of those that Richard Petty blue, like that was on the old NASCAR back in the day. So that was really cool. They did that. Okay, I guess I gotta take that fellow off there too, that little starter gear cover. Sometimes you can cheat and get around it, but it's not gonna let me. Alright. Yeah, the old magnet nut driver here don't want to give that screw back. Oh well, we'll deal with that stuff. Deal with that thing later. Alright, there it goes. Alright. Oh, look at that. Yep, we got a bunch of grass in here. We're gonna have to get this thing all sucked out of here. Don't want to fire this engine up with all that in there and have a fire. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this here spark plug out of here just to get that, give it a little more less resistance trying to get this motor here broke free. Yeah, I see part of it here too. The starter's locked up in the start position on it. That could be part of our problem. Well, let's take a look in there. Well, don't see any dirt down in there. That's a good thing. See if we can put the old universal starter motor on here and get this thing slide back down. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, I think this. Yeah, she's moving. Oh yeah. All right. Well, that made my day right there. I wasn't wanting to take and pull this motor out of here, so that's good news on that. I just gotta get that started to pop back down there. I've been using this PB blaster here. This is pretty good stuff right here. I've been using the liquid wrench for years, and I like that really well, but you know what I like about this PB blaster is they got these big shop cams right here, so kind of get a little bit more bang for the buck. So we're gonna try this stuff out and see how this stuff works. I guess a lot of people like this stuff. So. I gotta get it going the opposite direction if I can. Now you gotta be careful. You don't want to pry on that because you know you can snap those cast iron fins off there pretty easy. See if I can go over the other side here. Try to get them go the other way. Not really a whole lot of prying on here. You can get pry bar in to get this. You gotta whirl over. Yeah, this fella here is not wanting to work with me very well. Now she's starting to go down. Well, you can sure tell she's been sitting for a while. She turned over kind of hard, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna spray some of this old PB blaster down here inside this here cylinder and see if we can get that working in there. There we go. We're spinning over. I want to check the oil on this thing Make sure it's got oil in it. Yeah, she's really down on oil. Yeah, we're gonna have to take and get this freed up a lot better than what it is. Or that starter ain't gonna be strong enough to spin this motor over. I'm gonna go ahead and take this air breather off here just so we can get down in there. See what we got going on down there. Carburetor don't look too terrible on it. Linkage ain't froze up on. That's a good sign. Let's see how the throttle cable. Well, be doggone. Throttle and choke even works on it. Huh. That's a miracle. Boy, this motor is sticky, that's for sure. Yep. Well, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to spray this in here with some PB Blaster and start letting this thing soak down for a while. I'm going to drain the oil out of this thing, and we're going to put some fresh oil in here, and we're going to come back at this at a different day and after this sits, because I know it's not going to want to spin over very good as hard as this is spinning over right now if we're sitting, but we'll come back at it another day. Well, we're back after letting this engine soak down overnight with some PB Blaster in the cylinder. Went down, got some oil, and got the oil drained out of here, so we're going to start filling this up with some oil. Oil of choice today is this Traveler 20W50. End up picking this up. Store didn't have any 30 weight and any other brands other than the oil that I don't care for that comes in a yellow bottle. But we'll go ahead and we'll start filling this up and getting the battery hooked up to this thing and see if we can get this thing rolling over. See if we can get some action out of this. Well, we got the crank case. We got full of oil now. Now the next thing we do here is, you can see right here, I got the battery hooked up here with the old universal battery connectors here. Now we're going to see if this thing will, see if it's got any juice through the wires and if this motor will spin over and see if the starter's any good or not. Well, let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. Well, we got juice down there. But don't want to spin that motor over. Well, she ain't want to have much luck spinning over. Motor still kind of turns over a little hard from what it should. It almost acts like it might be a possibility this might have a scored cylinder. It was down on oil. Maybe they ran it out of oil or so. I think what we're going to do next, we're gonna pull this head off there and get a look down in there the cylinder and see what that looks like, and kind of predetermine what the issue could be and just kind of go from there. We'll see what this looks like under here. Hopefully we can reuse this head gasket again, but we'll see. If not, I'm pretty sure I got one of these on hand. Yeah, you can see all that PB Blaster starting to leak out of those bolt holes down there. That head comes right loose on it too. And got a bolt down here on the muffler, slowing this down. I like these old vertical shaft 8-horse Briggs and Stratton engines here. I always thought these were a good motor. They had a really nice sound to them. That's what I always liked too. Yeah. Don't look too bad in there. Yeah. That gasket's not awful at all. Cylinder looks good in there. See if the valves are, oh yeah. Valves are working on it. Yeah, cylinder's in really good shape on it. No scoring in it. But golly, she sure does turn over hard though. Not unless this engine's just got a lot of sludge inside there. Well, what we gotta do, we gotta try to get this thing to spin over more free. That's what's fighting us right now, so well, at least see if this fella's getting spark or not. This is a point system on this tractor. Could be just that starter's weak on it. I believe we got another starter out there for it. Maybe we'll have to take this off, and I'm gonna have to do some investigating on here, try to get this thing figure out what we're gonna do next here, so get progress going. So I'll be right back with you. Well, we're gonna go a little backwards on this. Just looking into this more, I do know two things right now. This motor should not turn over this hard. These aren't real high compression engines. I put my hands on here, and I literally got to take and put some muscle in this thing to turn this engine over. It should not be like that on these old 8 horses. Even I take and put the old long arm on here, you got to put a little bit of a pressure on here to spin this over, and it should spin over like butter with this big long arm on there. So I think it's going to be in our best interest just to take and pop this motor off here, just to pop that sump off, just to take a peek, make sure there's not a problem in there, because I definitely hate to start this engine up and, you know, have an issue going on there we're not aware of, you know, especially as hard to find as these motors are getting to be nowadays. So that's what we'll do this. I'll go ahead and I'll pull this engine up and get this looked at off camera, and if I find something, I'll be right back with you. Well, as you can see, we're elbows deep in this Woolet run now. Did I ever find a problem why this motor was turning over so hard? Well, unfortunately, some point in this engine's life here, it got starved for oil up here on this crank journal housing right here. And the crank started to seize up around there. Look at this crank journal right here. Get better focus on there. You can see where some of that aluminum housing started to transfer on that journal right there. So I've definitely seen them worse than this in here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to save this. I mean, after all, this isn't going to be used to cut the grass with. This is just going to be more or less of a tractor show, parade show tractor. So we're going to fix this engine right here. Get some muriatic acid and put on this so it lifts that aluminum off. That's a trick you can do to get that aluminum off your crankshaft, and polish that up with some emery cloth, and we'll take see if I can get this crank so it's been over. So once I got into it and started looking at it, even with the flywheel, you know, once I got the piston out of it and everything, it still turned over just as hard as it did with everything on it. So I had my suspicions there was a journal that was hung up on it. So this is going to be a process to do, so I'm going to go ahead and fix this motor and do this off camera, and this is going to be a few days. Well, we finally got the rest of the parts. We're going to get this 8 horse put together for this AMF tractor. It's been a week now since we got the parts in, so it's been busy doing some other things. So I'm going to do probably 90% of this assembly off the camera here. And I also noticed too where the carburetor bolts on the block, right there, it's loose on there. So we're already this far on this with the engine apart. We might as well take that carburetor and clean it up before we get this thing fired up. Well, I'm starting to put this engine back together here. Here's a little tip I use on my small engine rebuilds. I use a lot of this Permatex Aviation Sealer number 3. What I like about this stuff is it seems like with aluminum, whenever you use new gaskets, with the constant heating and cooling of the contractions of the metal, you know, you still seems to get, you know, a weep here and there. And, you know, nothing looks more terrible when you take and rebuild an engine and you have fresh paint on it, make it look nice, and if that oil starts seeping through those gaskets because it's not 100% true, like on these casings right here, this is where you notice it from mostly. Now let's take and put a light coat on the other side too. You don't need a lot on this, because once you tighten this down, you're going to take a rag and wipe up the excess around the seal. You know, once you put this stuff on, tighten this up, this thing will not leak. I suppose it's always first time for everything, but as many of these motors as I've done using this stuff, I've never had one leak personally. Right, I'm going to put the old Mr. Oil Slinger back on here. Got my engine assembly lube, put some of this on here. You're always going to want to take and put assembly lube here right on your camshaft and crank gears here. I'd always take and put some on the governor oil slinger gear here itself. Sometimes I use some of this Valco Cincinnati gel lube right here. This stuff's pretty decent. I mainly use this on the oil seals on assembly. Well, as you can see, we're gaining some ground on getting this engine back together here, because check this out. I can literally take and spin this engine over with my hands now, which that's something we couldn't do before. So this is how it's supposed to spin when you don't have a problem. Well, we're moving along here on this 8 horse, getting it back together for the AMF, but we're I ran into another problem. We got into it. This, for the heck of it, I pulled the side cover off here just to check the valve clearance since we're right here. But anyway, your valve clearance is supposed to be 5 thousandths on the intake and 9 on the exhaust. Well, I got my 5 thousandths feeler gauge right here, and I can't even get it in there. So these valves are tight, which I'm not a bit surprised actually. You know, as old as this thing is, you know, all those years of those valves pounding in, you know, they're going to get tighter. So looks like we're going to go ahead and touch the valves up on this while we're right here. Well, there it is. We finished, touched the valves up on that engine, did a quick little valve job on it and set the clearance, and we finished putting this thing back together last night. A couple things on this motor right here. The points did not look real great on this engine, and you know, when it comes to these engines, those older engines like this. If I can upgrade these and put an electronic ignition coil on, or even solid state, that's the approach I'm going to go, because when you price out the points and what the price of the coil, electronic coil, is going to be, it's pretty much the same price. And not to mention too, in my opinion, you know, the electronic coils, they produce a hotter fire to them, and it's more of a clean burning spark to it, and they just seem to run more efficient. That's just my personal opinion on it. And they last longer too. And something else too on it, we pulled the carburetor apart and cleaned it, and oh, it's a good thing we did, because the carburetor was dirty inside it. But when I ran this carburetor cleaner through the ultrasonic cleaner, when I had the float sitting inside the solvent, it did sink after about 20 minutes being in the tank. So it had a little pinhole leak in the float somewhere, so we replaced that as well. So, and something else too, it's, you know, the engine's brown. I didn't paint it or anything, even though we kind of went through and replaced some gaskets and stuff on it. We're just going to leave it like this for now, and eventually when we do a restoration on this AMF, we'll cross that bridge then. But hey, she's all done, and guess what? We're going to get her put in that tractor, and we're going to get her fired up. Well, y'all have no idea how long I've been waiting to get this motor back in this tractor so we can get this thing up and get it running. Definitely want to take it for a drive. You know, it's been a long time since I've drove one of these. I'm going to say this is not going to be too bad of a job now once everything mechanically is all good up here. We get it all up, get it driving again. And what we're going to do is, I'm not going to go through all this electrical wiring on this tractor here. It needs to be all redone. It's not in the best shape. And so what we're going to do is, we're just going to put oil in this thing. And what's nice about this, it's got the little spinny deal here. You can put your rope on it. We're just going to try starting it that way, getting this thing to fire up and run for you. We got to fill the crankcase with oil. Today's oil choice today is the old Traveler 2050. So this would be some good break-in oil for it. So now something else too with this motor. This is not by all means a full-blown rebuild. We just went through and replaced the gaskets on it. And something else too, we did the valve job, but you know, we just honed the cylinders up on this, and we used the original rings on it. They didn't look too bad. So like I said, this is a will it run. We're just trying to get this motor up and running again. All right, now here's a moment now I can honestly tell you that you and I both been waiting for. Well, let's see if we can get this thing to fire up here. Got my little pull rope here. Well, let's see what happens. Boy, if it pulls a little bit harder. Might have to get some starting fluid out. We'll see what happens here in a minute. Ooh. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. There we go. That might make it a little easier now, not having the belt turning on that. I'm excited to hear this thing run. Aha! She wants to cough. You're one more hit. Yep, she's gonna run. Got my portable gas tank 2000 up here. Might need to pick this up a little bit higher just so that fuel runs a little bit down closer to that carb. Come on, Bessie. Alright, I'll give me my carb regulator here. It's not quite getting fuel yet. She sure let out a big cloud of smoke with all that assembly lube in there. See if we can turn the fitting on this carburetor here so that fuel has a little bit more straight shot in the carburetor. It might be part of our issue. Check this carburetor adjustment out on here. We should start. Got our 1.5 turn out on the bottom. Spit my daggone straw off. Well, there you have it, everyone. This will it run was definitely a lot more work than I originally anticipated. So yeah, it took us a while to get this done, and definitely apologize for the delay on this. You know, ordering parts, you know, sometimes ordering parts, it just takes forever and a day to get stuff anymore. And just being busy with other projects, but yeah, it paid off in the end. It does run pretty good. Got to do a little more adjustments on the carburetor. Got to rewire this thing. And yeah, I'm quite pleased how this thing rolls out. You know, for a 1973, for something that's been sitting for about 30 years, I can't complain. All the gears are there. We drive it. I don't want to run it too much because I want to change that transaxle fluid out of it because for all we know, it might not have any in it. So yeah, I also, Shaw's Garage, we got a Facebook profile on Facebook. Look us up on Facebook at Shaw's Garage. And what we're doing with that is that Facebook profile, we post updates on there and different things we're doing. And something else, if you guys wonder what's going on with that Simplicity 727, we got some updates on there. We've been working on that too. That's come a long ways. Alright, well that's going to wrap it up this Will It Run. Thanks for hanging out through this little long process on getting this thing running. But yeah, please hit that like button. Leave a comment down below if there's anything in this video you particularly enjoyed that I did. Please let me know. And you know, if I could talk you into subscribing, we got more cool Will It Run videos coming in the future you're not going to want to miss. So until next time, we'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.